everybody, and welcome to our first Jazz Jam session with Bowler and Zippy. I'm Rod Zundel. Craig Bowler-Jack is on the road with the Utah Jazz right now in a layover. Where are you, Bowler? Detroit?
Well, right now, Detroit. I had to leave the Jazz in Boston and then heading to my Fox College football game this weekend, Texas at West Virginia. So it's a crazy but fun week.
All right, we're going to do this every Thursday right here on KSL.com. And, of course, we have Craig Bowler-Jack, the TV voice of the Utah Jazz. He's with them every step of the way. All right, Craig, they're 0-5, one of two winless teams in the NBA, along with the Denver Nuggets. In every game this year, other than the one a couple of nights ago with the Brooklyn Nets, they've been right there. What's the mood? You've been in the locker room afterwards. You've seen these guys on the road. What's the mood, even though they have yet to get a win?
Well, Rod, I think the first word that comes to mind is disappointment, and you see that in the face of these young players each time I walk into the locker room, whether it's home or away. There's been effort, which I think, of course, was one thing that Dennis Lindsey, the Jazz front office, and Ty Corbin expects from this young team is to go out and hustle and play hard every night. Come together and bond as a team. I think they've made some big strides, but I think the thing that jumps out at me the most, Zip, is this, simply that you have to learn how to win ball games, how to keep leads. There was an issue even last year with Millsap and Jefferson. The Jazz played, I thought, some pretty impressive minutes, but the common theme of that year was never was there a full 48 played, and there's still kind of a hangover in that regard. So Favors, Cantor, Gordon Hayward, Alec Burks, the core four, have got to find ways to close games out, close out quarters. They played very well Wednesday night for 12 minutes. They had a total letdown, a total shutdown in the second against Boston, and that's where the game was lost. They played hard trying to make the comeback, but when you dig yourself a hole of 20-plus points, it's hard to climb out of that hole.
All right, now here on Jazz Jam Session with Bowler and Zippy, we're not going to waste your time with just idle chit-chat. We're going to talk what is trending with the Jazz, good and bad. So, Bowler, let's talk what's not right, what's trending the wrong way for the Jazz. Field goal percentage, they can't really hit anything when it counts. 41.5% field goal percentage. The opponents are shooting 45%, and they're only 22.5% from the three-point line. That's just not going to get it done night in and night out.
No, it's not, and those are the big concerns right now. Hayward especially, if he's going to be the leader, the face of the franchise, the go-to guy, the player that closes out ball games, he's got to find more confidence in his game, in his shot. I think he's done that, Rod, the last couple of ball games, and the numbers prove that out, but he's a high-volume shooter, and he's just got to be more productive, and he has to find more confidence along the way. I will say this from my chair, I've actually seen the Jazz with good looks, and what I mean, open shots, which are makeable. And now all you have to do, the question would pop up, are the Jazz capable of making those shots? I would think yes, that's why you're in the league. You hope they work through this slump. I think they have to be rewarded sooner than later. Doesn't look like Chicago or Toronto is going to be the place for that. They're back home next week against Denver, as you mentioned. Recently, John, just one of two winless teams in the NBA. But, yeah, you've got to shoot the ball. You've got to have Burks. You've got to have guard play who are able to go to the rack and finish. And I think that's the other word. They've been unable to finish at the rim so far in this early part of the season.
Yeah, talk about the point guard situation, Bowler. Between John Lucas III and Jamal Tinsley, Lucas is shooting 34%, Tinsley only 19%. Between the two, 8.5 points and only 5 assists a game. Jazz need to get some production out of their point guards and get it quickly.
Well, good teams who win basketball games in the NBA, Zippy, as you know, have point guards. The Jazz had one at one time in Darren Williams, and, of course, that trade was made in 2011, knowing that he wasn't going to most likely re-sign. So you have to start over again. I take Bledsoe down in Phoenix, for example, and why the Suns may be one of the big surprises early, because you have a trigger man, a young player who understands pace, tempo, and can make shots. So the Jazz right now are trying to hang on until Trey Burke gets healthy. I talked to him last night. He'll be back at the doctors, hopefully to get his release on Tuesday of next week, and then we get this young man back in the rotation. Desperate minutes. Remember, Rod, Lucas was never signed to be a starting point guard.
Yeah.
He was here only to back him up, and Tinsley came in, who knew the system and trying to help in relief now since the injury to Burke. Neither one of those players are in a position to lead this team right now, but at the same time, you hope they can give you some backup minutes. But until you get Burke, the College Player of the Year, back in that lineup, the Jazz are going to struggle.
All right, Bowler, in 20 seconds or less, can the Jazz, with all these trends going downward, can they fix them and move them upward here in the next couple of games so they can get some confidence and get rewarded for their hard play? 20 seconds or less.
I don't see it happening on the road in Chicago against Boozer and the Bulls or up in Toronto across the border. I think the best-case scenario is to come back next week where you have 3 home games and let the crowd help elevate this team, and I believe that's what's going to have to happen. Home crowd is going to have to help boost this young team's morale and their confidence, and Jazz Nation has got to be a part of it.
Okay, Friday night in Chicago and then Saturday in Toronto, both those games on Root Sports. Bowler, have a safe trip, and we'll talk to you again next Thursday on our Jazz Jam session.
Absolutely. Thanks, Zip.
All right, buddy. All right, so that does it for now. The Jazz 0-5, one of 2 winless teams along with the Denver Nuggets in the NBA. The Jazz, they're off to their worst start since 1974-75. The Osmonds had a hit during that season, a #1 single. And the Jazz that year in 74 and 75 started off 0-11. That was their first year in the NBA when they were in New Orleans. All right, that does it for this inaugural edition of the Jazz Jam Session with Bowler and Zippy. See you next Thursday.